I don't know. I mean, I'm not internal when it comes to Mexico. I do think that American soccer has been, despite the fact that we love to kick ourselves for what we haven't done, has been on an accelerated program and process for now a number of decades. Even the generation that we're seeing right now, it was born out of probably the worst moment in U.S. soccer, not qualifying for the 2018 World Cup. But those seeds were planted, and so maybe we're reaping the rewards and sowing all of those incredible benefits that were worked on oftentimes quietly and behind the scenes. So I do think that as a soccer culture, we are bigger, and I think we are moving at a much more rapid pace and much more difficult for, say, a Mexico to keep up with. Now, there will be games, and they will try, but I mean, I don't think that we're going to look back. And that's a good thing for us. Maybe it's not a good thing for Mexico, and we do still need Mexico when it comes to all of these relationships that we have. I don't know, Mosse, what do you think?
I've long had this theory. Now, I know you bristle sometimes at the suggestion that you have to go to Europe to develop as a player, but I think the U.S. has bought into that to a greater degree than Mexico, perhaps because MLS can attract better foreigners than Liga MX can to fill the void. It's given license for MLS to become a selling league when it comes to American players. When there's any young, really talented, up-and-coming American player now, it's just assumed he's going to go to Europe. Well, that's not the case in Mexico because they know if they sell all their good Mexican players, that league is going to crater. So they're a bit reluctant to go down that path. And so a lot of these guys end up staying and, in my view, stagnating in their development. The Charlie Rodriguez, Sebastian Cordova, Roberto Alvarado, many others we can name. So I think that's part of it. I think U.S. players are just developing better than Mexicans. And you look at the two lineups tonight and the club pedigree, there's no contest. The U.S. has all these players that are playing in top leagues in Europe. Mexico doesn't have nearly as many. I do think that's part of this whole equation.
Yeah, I would absolutely buy that. So, what I only bristle in the fact that I don't think that is the only way to go, but I absolutely will recognize that, all of these pathways, all of these opportunities, I've said before that, there was a time, back in the 1900s when I was running around that, I had to run around in a World Cup just to get the opportunity to go to Europe. And we have young players right now, to your point, that are already being scouted and already being given opportunities at a very young age before they have done anything. Some of them not even stepping on the field when it comes to Major League Soccer, and even bypassing that. So yeah, and then getting these good opportunities, and the core of this team absolutely is playing over in Europe, although most of them at some point have come in contact and have been impacted in a positive way through MLS. So MLS can certainly check that off and use that as a feather in the cap. But to your point, there was also a long time where the amount of money that Mexican players were able to make didn't always make sense. And when it came to a lot of U.S. players, it was dramatically different in terms of the amount of money that they could make. And so who knows, maybe that changes the pendulum going forward. If and when MLS is starting to pay money that's commensurate with around the world, maybe fewer of them go over. Now, does that again change that pendulum going back? I don't know.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops every week. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.